So yeah, Burna Boy performed live at the Billboard Awards last night in Las Vegas, and it looked insane. He looks like he is the Billboard's golden boy this season. He's done the cover for this month. He's done, I believe it was this month. He's on the cover. They did an interview with him. They did an interview with him, sit down interview. I believe it was in Las Vegas, and they were talking about Afro-Fusion. Afro-Fusion is sort of this new genre of Afrobeats. It's, some people call it a subsidiary of Afrobeats. Some people call it its own thing. But, so he was on this, music con. The Billboard had this sort of music event surrounding, sort of promoting their award show. And Burna Boy was there, and he was talking about Afro-Fusion and how it's just sort of like an evolution of Afrobeats. To me, the way that I see it, and everyone has different opinions on this, which is interesting to me, but I see Afro-Fusion as the genre of music that is not Afrobeat. Afrobeat is the original, right? People like Fela, and in those days, that's what they were doing, Afrobeat. Then came Afrobeats, which I made this documentary. You guys probably watched it on this channel. So I made this documentary about Afrobeats, the evolution of Afrobeats, and it started, in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it really sort of like emerged, and it was this sort of like fusion of R&B, hip hop, but also very core African or Nigerian sounds or West African sounds. Sort of this fusion of all, and reggae as well. It was this fusion of all of these things. And now it sounds as though what Afro-Fusion looks like today, because that's Afrobeats, but Afro-Fusion has more of an inclusion of R&B or Western music. And I would say Burna Boy is a pioneer of that. I would say Wizkid is a pioneer of that. I would say that there are quite a few artists that do that, Afro-Fusion, right? There are quite a few artists that do that. Thames, all these artists. Like, for example, the reason why I say this is like there's a big difference between a Burna Boy and like a Kiss Daniels, who actually does like more Afrobeats, traditional, like Owambe kind of wedding music, right? Owambe is like, they kind of do these kind of like more traditional sounding music. And even Davido, I wouldn't even call Davido Afro-Fusion. He sticks to the Afrobeat sound. And what Burna does is, because like Burna's out here having Coldplay in his music. He's out here doing songs with Coldplay. He's out here doing songs with all these Western artists. Same as Wizkid. It's one of those things that like, it doesn't really, it's not signature in the way that Afrobeats is, but in some ways it still kind of represents the flavor of Afrobeats and the flavor of Nigeria. That's what I would call Afro-Fusion as. And he has this really good song that he dropped on Friday called Last Last. And I talked about this on my TikTok. And basically he fuses Tony Braxton's Man Enough For You. He uses that beat, and he, I believe he adds some drums to it. He speeds it up a little bit, or he distorts the audio a little bit. And then he has this like, this like super Afrobeats, super Nigerian sound, right? And it's very interesting what he does there. It's a really good song. I broke it down. Go check that out. But anyway, let's talk about him at the Billboard Music Award. I think, to me, it's a great thing what's happening. He's the first Afrobeats artist. He's the first Nigerian artist that has really become an international phenomenon, right? I know people say Wizkid is big, and they'll say all of those things, but I think that the fact that he's won a Grammy, the fact he's a Grammy winner, I feel like he's just way more packaged than Wizkid. Don't get it twisted. I shouldn't compare them, because Wizkid is very packaged in terms of his artistry. He's very packaged in so many ways, but I feel like Burna Boy is a little bit more prolific, and he's a little bit more what the West wants. Actually, I shouldn't compare them, because both of them are actually phenomenal and they're great. I will say that both of them are great. Both of them are what the West wants. I mean, Wizkid does some amazing music, but right now, let's just put it this way. Right now, Burna Boy is the golden boy. And he's dropping an album. I believe he said July 2nd. I believe that's his birthday. He's dropping an album. He's, making great music. He's prolific, because Wizkid, I mean, he dropped an album in 2020, and typically Wizkid takes like time to drop albums. He takes like 4 years or so. Burna Boy drops an album every year and a half. So that kind of keeps him more relevant in a way. Davido drops a new song every 3 months. I feel like he's probably the most prolific Afrobeats artist, if you ask me. But either way, it's exciting to see what's happening with Afro-Fusion. It's exciting to see how the genre is changing, how there's an evolution of the music industry. The Billboard Music Award was a big deal, having an Afrobeats act perform there. This is the first time that we're seeing an Afrobeats act perform at such a global stage, that is sort of broadcasted and viewed internationally, or viewed and appreciated internationally. And I say this, I don't mean like, okay, fine, you could say Global Citizens Festival, that was good. The Global Citizens, especially during COVID, and Burna Boy performed there. Especially during COVID, when everybody was stuck at home, they probably got a lot of audience for that. Probably far more than Billboard Music Award. But the thing is that I don't know, it's like, it's an award show, and I think we do have to recognize that award shows aren't what they were back in the day. Like, it's not like 2002 when you're watching the MTV VMAs. These days, when award shows happen, you find out about it the day of or the next morning, right? You're just like, oh, something's going on. Because I think back in the day, award shows were our opportunity to see celebrities live in real time. And that's what made it exciting. And we didn't have social media. We didn't have easy ways to access celebrities. So like, this was our opportunity to access celebrities. But I think now, in today's day and age, we just have so many more ways to interact with celebrities. We have so many more ways to watch celebrity content, that it's like, why even, we could watch Doja Cat live on Instagram as we're casually just like doing whatever, right? So like, we just have so much more access to celebrities these days, and there's so much more content to consume that's exciting, that people don't care about award shows anymore. And I feel like the only opportunity for them to get attention is from the live performances. I think that's what grabs people's attention. And then also the interviews that we see, if you bother, and also the looks on the red carpet. People look at that as well. So those are the things that we find out about after. And then if there are any interesting moments that happen at these award shows, like Cara Delevingne doing, just, I think she was like pulling what's her name, skirt, Meg Thee Stallion's skirt. So things like that, that's how we pay attention. But I feel like traditionally we don't really care about those things. But anyway, I just thought I'd talk about this. I think it's really interesting what's going on with Burna. He's the golden boy. He's the golden boy of this season. And I'm excited to see what happens with this new album, and who is the next kid. I feel like, we have CK and other musicians that are, getting attention internationally, but I feel as though Burna Boy is way more packaged. He's way more of a star, a superstar. And I think CK just hasn't branded or packaged himself as a superstar just yet. And so in that respect, it's harder for him to actually be put on this world stage, even though he has the biggest hit that's come out of Afrobeats. He's had the biggest hit. And I know Billboard, the funny thing about Billboard, they say that a lot of their stuff is a lie. They don't tell accurate numbers about number ones. And how you know who's really number one is you look at iTunes, you look at TikTok, you see those charts, because that's what shows you what people are actually consuming. So people don't trust Billboard in terms of determining who's number one. Some people think that it's paid, but I won't get into that. But either way, it's still a respectable platform. It's a mainstream platform. And I think some of these Afrobeats artists, I just feel like these days there are just so many Afrobeats artists, and they just haven't worked on their brands. And we know their music, but nobody really cares about who they are as a brand, who they are as a musician. I don't think they have this like devoted fan base. And I think people like Burna Boy, Davido, Wizkid, they've been in it so long. They were one of the, at least they came from an era after the debange, and they sort of like were the only ones to look at in a way, right? So everybody still remembers them for that. But these days, like, there's so many musicians, and a lot of them just aren't packaging themselves good enough to build a fan base. So it's interesting to see who's gonna come out and be this top stars. If you ask me, I'm going for Rema. I'm going for Arya Starr. In fact, all the people at Marvin Records, they're great talents. They're phenomenal. So I see them really being big. But either way, I think it's so interesting what's going on in the space. Yeah, so leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all the above. And yeah, what I'm doing now, I'm trying to do live videos now because it's so much easier. It means I don't have to like shoot and edit. It's so much work. So I'm just going to do more lives, see how it goes. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. My name is Kenim, and see you next time. Peace.